Hello, welcome to the first lesson, friends. In this case, we're not going to be working on any practical points because we are going to have to work on the theory. That's necessary so that we can apply it in our future drawing. Let's start by defining what a villain actually is. We are going to define a villain as a person, or like an antagonist that is always going to be against the main character. We could also say, more colloquially, that this is the bad guy of the movie. In cold terms thought, we are talking about a character who is evil, who is mean, and who has quite bad intentions. Well, in this way, we are going to try and make it so that the villains are the ones that we see as bad people in the movie. Maybe this is through their ideals or through their behavior. So, what we have to keep in mind is that we have to create a believable character. We can't just make a character that has a goody look, for example. But yeah, that's why we are doing this course, right? To analyze in depth. We are going to start with some examples I decided to put in by Disney. In this image, we can see Maleficent. She's an evil witch from the Sleeping Beauty movie. She has a number of concrete features that we can analyze and that let us classify her as a villain. So now I'm going to use her as our first example because it makes it easier. For example, we can see the bags under her eyes, the drooping eyes, the marked eyebrows with that essential curve to them, her hands with those painted nails and long sharp fingers. Her pet obviously has to represent something evil in some way, like a crow, for example. Her skin color is also quite characteristic in villains, like a sickly or off-looking tone is characteristic in them. The second example we have here is Hades, from the Hercules movie. Hades is god of death. This is why he's being used as a recurring villain in this movie. He's got those eye bags and sharp eyes and fingers. And here we have Cruella de Vil. She's the villain from the 101 Dalmatians. Look at those curvy eyebrows. She has a silhouette that's quite skinny, skeletal. She has those long, sharp fingers with an expression that doesn't give us the feeling that she has much kindness, right? Also, as you can see, her cheeks are really sharp and the colors that she uses make the crowd think she's the villain, no doubt. She also has that cigarette. A lot of movies use smoking as an evil thing. In the next example, we've got Scar, the villain in The Lion King. He's Simba's uncle, and he wants the throne. It's the thirst for power that makes him become a villain. So, the following characteristics, like the dark tone in his hair, that scar, those angular facial features, and of course those dark shadows under the eyes, are what characterize this guy as villain. He's not just a villain in appearance, his personality is kind of terrible. Our next character is going to be Jafar. Jafar is bad guy in Aladdin. He's the Sultan concierge. Villains can sometimes be a partner or friend, like we have in Jago. We can see again we are repeating the same features, those features that these villains have, those arched brows, those shadows around the eyes, and that evil expression that we could see from far away. I would like to stop here and say that Disney also uses a lot of color green to emphasize the evil characters. If you look closely, we can see that most of the characters before had some kind of green feature, with Cruella had the smoke of the cigarette, or Scar with the green eyes, etc. So if you look closely, in all of the movies, we are going to see a ton of little details to look closely at, to be able to see them. This guy here is Frollo. He's the judge that is in the movie in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And he's an obsession with Esmeralda. He wants to make her his. So he's going to make her to go to the fire unless she admits that she wants to be with him. Frollo is kind of a Machiavellian character who is continuously manipulating his sort of son, who is locked in a prison. You can kind of see now what features he kind of has, because in all of the image, you can see all of the features I've been pointing out with that emphasis. He has those arched brows, those marked cheeks, that sharp look, etc. This one here is one of the villains who is kind of the most characteristic of Disney, Ursula, an underwater witch that transforms Ariel into a human. What could we say here? Well, we have those drooping eyes, those arched brows that are quite high up, right? She has those painted red lips that really stand out on that twisted smile. She has those friends, like we were saying before, who have that quite hateful look as well. Women are really obvious with the kind of hair. And the eyeshadow as well, or the makeup. I don't know why they really go to town with their makeup to give us the evil look. Ursula, however, apart from the nose, is a character that, although she's a villain, she has those curves coming away from the skinny villain. Here we have the Dr. Fauchelier. He's the villain from The Princess and the Frog, and he's a voodoo witch. His mission in the film is to follow Tiana and the prince so that he can stop this way that the shadows he works with can end up with his soul. And so, he also can get paid. He's a character that's really charismatic. He works with magic so that he can try and seduce his victims. This here is from the Wreck-It Ralph movie. There isn't really a clear villain because we think that these guys are the main villains, these insects. They don't have too much complexity because of the person who developed them. They might be villains, but we can see them quite easy. No drooping eyes, shadows, brows, but that grin and the sharp shapes make us think that these are the main villains. Because of these reasons, as I was saying before, green is a color that we are going to work more. With some sharp teeth and an aggressive attitude, help us get the guys into this type. With this, I also want to say that villains don't have to be people necessarily. In this case, we've got villains that are machines. This is the second case that I wanted to show you guys, about what I was saying about the green color being an evil color that is used a lot, for example, in Disney's animated movies, so that we can kind of see that evil that might be within the villains. We don't really know, or at least I don't, why green is related to evil, but it might make us think of venom, the plague, choking, danger, magic, don't know. For example, here we have a scene of The Princess and the Frog where we can see that they are using green and purple as contrasts to emphasize those evil scenes happening in this moment. Now we are going to move on to some more specific cases of Disney. This is Prince Hans. He's in Frozen, and he's a prince or something like that. He wants to marry Anna, one of the main characters. Hans is a villain that's quite peculiar, seeing as his looks and his behavior don't show us really any evil that he might be hiding. This is why we might think he's a typical villain that's going to catch us by surprise in our stories. It's a good resource, but we have to know how to use it, because if you don't see your guy as a villain, it can be quite confusing. Lastly, we got Megamind. This guy is a villain that we could see as an evil mastermind. This is a guy that's really smart and scientific knowledge. He's going to use this for evil. Megamind is a little different because this is a villain that tries to turn back in the end because his initial intention isn't to hurt anybody. He just wanted a main character to fight with and stand out with. I hope this helps in the upcoming course, and I want you to take each of these features we've seen quite seriously so that you can apply them in the end. See you in the next lesson. Bye!